An air deployment exercise billed as the biggest in NATO's history and hosted by Germany has begun. The Air Defender 2023 exercise is set to run from June 12th through 23rd. It includes 10,000 participants and 250 aircraft from 25 countries. The exercise was long planned, but also serves to showcase the alliance's capabilities amid high tensions with Russia. It also comes amid reports of the start of Ukraine's long-expected counteroffensive. Well, joining us now to discuss this is Richard Shimooka, a defense expert and senior fellow at the Macdonald-Laurier Institute. Mr. Shimooka, welcome back to Forum Daily.
Thanks for having me, Nima.
So, as we mentioned, this is NATO's largest ever Air Force drill. So, what do we know so far about these exercises and what they would look like?
It's going to run through the entire gamut of sort of operations that are critical to ensure that NATO can defend its some of the border countries that are opposite to Russia. You're going to see operations that include counter-air operations, so defending against potential Russian aircraft incursions, suppression of air defense systems, because Russia is very, very effective air defense systems that NATO is very concerned about. You see logistics, just supporting such a massive enterprise using transport aircraft and sort of on-the-ground logistics. The whole range of what NATO requires to in order to sort of undertake such an operation. They're going to basically do exercises, see how it works, see what they can improve on, and go forward from there.
Sounds like quite the expansive exercise here. So, what is the deeper meaning behind this drill and the message that it sends to Russia?
Well, exercises are a pretty critical part of Western military's sort of day-to-day operations. You'll see major ones. The United States Air Force, for example, runs this very large one called Red Flag, which is similar in sort of its sort of intent and scope is to make sure that pilots and everybody understands what's required. But as you say, there's a big political aspect to it, and it's a signaling mechanism. It shows to potential adversaries like Russia that the NATO alliance can work together and is very concerned about it, that they can work together as an effective force, as however many nations come together to operate as one, but as well just understanding that we have a credible response to any sort of aggression, that this is that we are concerned about what you're doing, and that our aircraft and we're ready to sort of counter if there is any sort of potential threat.
And although there is not a potential threat right now to NATO, these exercises are also said to prepare air forces in a crisis situation. So, what could a realistic crisis situation for NATO members look like right now?
Well, I think you kind of see. I would say that there has been sort of low-level threats. That Russia has made sort of threatening statements towards NATO about its support for countries. Excuse me, towards their support for Ukraine in their ongoing invasion. So I think that there is some sort of view that we need to be prepared for it. Certainly, defending some of the Baltic states, which are extremely vulnerable to sort of Russian attack, as well as Poland. These are sort of scenarios that can be sort of envisaged, and therefore having a credible response, understanding where are the weak points is pretty critical for NATO itself to prepare or to signal that its preparedness for such a threat.
All right, Mr. Shimooka, a little over a minute left here, but let's talk a little bit about air defense, as you highlighted earlier in this interview. Now, we know the U.S. approved the transfer of these highly sought-after American-made F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. But where does NATO stand on providing Ukraine with these F-16 fighter jets? We know the Ukrainian military is preparing to be trained to use these F-16s this summer.
This is going to take months, more likely years. Critical sort of the sort of narrow points where there is a lack of capabilities and maintenance. That takes years to get people ready to sort of understand how to sort of maintain this fighter to operate it. Pilots a little quicker. So and also getting the fighters, identifying which ones are going to be provided. This is more of a long-term sort of signal for Ukraine that we're going to support you. Perhaps after this initial invasion's over, that where there's a longer political sort of settlement, that NATO is going to have their back. So I don't see this exactly going to help any sort of existing operation or anything in the medium term at the very, very earliest. But it is an important signal that NATO is going to support Ukraine going forward.
All right, Mr. Shimooka, a quick 30 seconds left here, but anything that you're going to be keeping your eyes on as this counteroffensive by Ukraine continues?
Certainly, it's been interesting to watch how the Ukrainians have been pushing forward. They've been very good at sort of hiding or sort of not showing their hand too much of what they're trying to do. Russia's invested heavily in the defense of the southern provinces, and you're starting to see movement. That there's some successes and some losses, but it's going to be a while yet before we actually see how successful they're being, and whether this will make appreciable gains in the political sort of arena for the war and its termination.
Lots to keep our eyes out for, Mr. Shimooka. Thank you again for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back.